underwater Lost City looking Aquaman style WB logo wreckage, floating DC logo, and even the Super Friends are doing roll call underwater. Appropriate reaction? Stingray was terrible. Could be extraordinary de-aging CGI, could be that Nicole Kidman doesn't age. Gonna go with the latter since she was my first celebrity crush. Cthulhu shadowing. What the? Sigur Rós is always a win.
We could unite our worlds one day.
Clairvoyance, or you know the point of the movie. Okay, I'm man enough to admit that while I started out thinking this long take spin around the action was awesome, eventually I started to feel queasy and was really nervous every scene would be shot like this. It's not, but it makes the first real fight unique and a fun showcase of Atlantean's powers. Also, Atlanta is kind of a badass good girl. Good queen.
I have to go back. It is the only way to save him.
That'll get you right in the feels. I'm pretty sure Julia was already crying at this point in theaters just at the thought of having to leave Jude to save his life. Different things for different people. What can I say? So awesome. Aqua Boy. Okay, I'm also man enough to admit that Black Manta and the baddies have one of the dopest little theme lines.
That's not a man.
Announcement of Aquaman does deserve a dolly zoom.
Permission to come aboard?
It's an entrance. Also, the score is buried under the shooting, but I'm into it. Rupert Gregson-Williams mixed a little Mark Mothersbaugh with a little Daft Punk. Ha! He'll mess you up, but he's still just having a chill time. Ingenuity. Oof, that's brutal. As is that. I think sternum stopping a sword makes you a badass good guy. Also that.
Ow.
Honesty.
I'm not too kind.
That's what you get for messing with a Maori. Evil bunch of jerks or not, who were responsible for every bad thing or not, you still feel for a guy losing his father. And it's a perfect setup for him becoming Black Manta. He begged a god, from his perspective, for help and was denied. Tough decision, but it's good that it comes back to haunt Arthur.
You killed innocent people! You're asked to seek for mercy.
You that fish boy from the TV? Can we get a picture with you?
Expectation subversion. Step 3, I re-examine my personal biases. Arthur's faces. Fun technique used by Juan is the switch from the confining 21:9 widescreen to 16:9 that fills up, well, most monitors and TVs. It makes the ocean feel less claustrophobic and subtly plants the idea in your brain that you're on another world. And you'll notice that with only a couple exceptions, when you come back on land, we go back to 21:9. Oh man, I love how seriously but unseriously at the same time this movie takes itself. Seahorses. Seahorse seashell party. Ugh, such mixed feelings. Got that bad guy theme, but this is Night Owl, guys. But also the guy from Hard Candy.
Atlan's time, 7 kingdoms were one.
If only you had some dragons to reunite the 7. Alright, it's pretty up.
War has already begun.
Then it's time to send him a message they'll hear.
As predictable as the whole thing was to all of us, Orm's plan was actually pretty decent. Nereus had an idea of what he was doing.
Without me and my army to convince them, your plans are stillborn. You picked a meeting place too close to the surface for my liking.
But Orm set the meeting close to the surface to give the land dweller attack more credibility. Also, Nereus reveals later that he did know, so yeah.
She wouldn't be that gullible.
I'm gonna tell you the same thing that I told that rusty starfish, except nicer because you're a lady.
Chivalry or misogyny, I'm not sure where we land today. Let's go with politeness. Awesome or terrifying? Awesome and beautiful, or just make you want to crawl out of your skin frightening? Ha! It's a wadagram. Have to appreciate how murky the water is in this scene. Huge waves are often presented like fresh, clean water, but they would be picking up and churning all kinds of debris. Cool power that adds just a little more continuity to Justice League. Also, water magnet powers.
No, I don't even know your name.
And I thought that was retcon from Justice League, but she doesn't ever actually say her name. Also, her costume/outfit is way better in Justice League. Also, if you're a continuity buff, she was prepared for battle because Steppenwolf was coming. This must just be her casual clothing.
This was Orm's doing.
Bet you didn't notice the acronym in Orm's name, did you? Silly you. In honor of Jack's film stylization, Orm stands for Anthropogenic Climate Change. And that makes Aquaman climate change mitigation measures?
No, this was no natural disaster. They threw out our garbage and our warship.
Randall Park is an interdimensional being confirmed. FBI in MCU, PhD in DCEU. Or is it MD in DC? Yeah, Vince still did it better. This is a fantastic way to give us a little background on Vulko and Arthur without leaving the story behind, just replacing the characters as the narrative continues. It's a flashback while moving forward. Here's me not complaining about anything that reminds me of Daft Punk's Tron Legacy score, even though they are about to get on the Solar Sailor thing. And even if it's not the only thing we love from Thor Ragnarok, dialing up the saturation and vibrancy of the colors at the entrance to Atlantis will always give me the warm fuzzies like the first time you see Pandora. Just awe that this both exists digitally and existed inside someone's mind. Well, the much evolved beyond us savage land dwellers still use beasts of burden. Win for the humans, I think. Oh, the new futuristic city built into and on top of the old ruins of Atlantis.
I'm from the surface. No one's gonna take me seriously.
Fish out of water is a common trope at this point, but how often do you get to say mammal off the land? There has to be a better way to say that. Fun sword fights. That camera work I was afraid of is still there in spirit, just toned down. But the real win here is the water charge up these soldiers uses some kind of energy power enhancement. I don't know what's going on with the way Arthur's beard is moving underwater. Nonetheless, Arthur gets a beautiful beard win.
Let's do it. Bring what?
Yeah, obviously that helmet doesn't fit. You've shown that your head is far too big to fit into any helmet by agreeing to a fight without knowing any of the rules.
You taught me how to fight, Cobra Kai.
You can't sweep the leg underwater that easily. Training takes place on the edge of two worlds. Well played. A liar always suspects people of lying. Forget fur coats, Mara's wearing jellyfish while they're still alive. I don't know, maybe it's more humane. Cool detail either way.
What the hell is that?
The Ring of Fire.
Another appropriate reaction. Orm's got the right guy in charge of state propaganda. Or is it like crown propaganda? Topo the Octodrummer. Something about knowing how heavy and awkwardly long tridents like that would be make the movements all the more entertaining and impressive to watch. Not to mention the crazy water-wake visual effects from the prongs. And just like you could infer from what Vulko said, Arthur held his own when they were planted on a solid surface, but once you throw the Z-axis and no footing into the fight, he starts really losing. I'm not taking a jab again, but I'm just realizing the huge jellyfish are floodlights now. Spoke too soon on Sweep the Leg. Sound design is phenomenal. The power behind Orm's yell while still maintaining that underwater tone. Safe to assume, even though they don't show any of Mara or Arthur's transitions, you've got to empty your lungs of water before breathing air, and if you're caught by surprise, this might happen. I'm gonna take a little break and go watch Tron Legacy. Alright. Oh, they couldn't afford Toto, so they got Pitbull. Impact censoring. Saving your red-headed friend. I gotta say, I just don't hate the Tomb Raider portion of this film.
Could've just peed on it.
We were all thinking it, so astute observations.
Journey beyond the edge of the world to the...
Flat Earth confirmed by DC. Just when you think they've crossed into cliche rom-com territory. Aww, but now, see, that's what you need to be willing to do for the ones you love. Generosity. Okay, that's 4. 4 times a moment has been cut short by getting blown up. And since I'm definitely not the first to notice, let's call it a motif. It's like a scene continuity win. Ties it all together.
Think I'm gonna need a bigger helmet.
Yeah, you'd wear a huge comic-accurate bug-like head to avoid melting your face. Although it does give you a bigger target to punch. Yup, Mara's a badass. You could complain about camera choices, but you have to admit James Wan shoots some frenetic and constantly connected action.
You can't run!
Black Manta has a weird understanding of what it means to run from a fight when he keeps kicking and lasering Arthur miles away. Now this is just some inventive filmmaking. Wan and DP Don Burgess are constantly tying the Mara and Arthur battle geography together, and this zoom in on Mara running on rooftops is one of the most exhilarating theater experiences I've had in a while, intercut to the Valerian crashing through walls long take. It's impossible shots like this that make movies fun. And don't even get me started on the score. Okay, it's a techno, future, EDM symphony or something. No! Saving that generous girl from earlier.
Cut you like the fish you are!
Yeah, but see, he's a fish man. You're forgetting that part. Resourcefulness? Okay, so they're in Italy. The wine thing makes sense for sure. I just have to believe there's a draft of this screenplay where there was a different dense red liquid, but they knew they'd never get it through the MPAA. Also, yup. Oof. Pretty brutal way to lose a fight. This is gonna seem super simplified, but this is why you always do the right thing. I know it's not always clear. You save this guy, he does more pirating, but all you can do is what you believe to be right, one decision at a time. But CinemaWins guy, that's myopic. Well, I don't think you know what that means.
While you betray it, you think I do not know. Do not deny it. I do not.
Unshaken. Willem Dafoe is always a win. So here's the thing. The Trench are fully CGI, even if based on mocap actors. So when you start to think about this uncut take, what does it really mean? But here's the T. Am I using that right? We need directors to keep using this film language. In this case, horror film language. Yes, the challenge isn't the same, but that's what cinema is. It's adapting the methods of the old to the new. I love it. And that's a creepy crazy creature. Oh, brutal. Double kill. Turned into a combo. Probably. What was I saying about Tomb Raider? Oh, stop it. Would you look at this shot? Center frame, bright red, moving away from the boat, making the creatures avoid the light. Ugh, and the lightning flashes revealing how many there actually are. Kingdom of the Trench where? China, Sudan, Ireland? How will I ever know? More jokes. I actually find every title marker to be so adventure-driven. They use establishing shots, sure, but it's often just a wide of them moving towards the destination without the action being slowed. Just call her a babysitter and add a few pteranodons. Tylosaurus, Mosasaurus. This is CinemaWins, not PaleoWins. Triceratops, Sinoceratops. Call it what you want, it's the Lost Pandora world to me. But this right here is where it started to really click for me. James Wan doesn't even care. Hugging.
You're afraid.
Yes.
Good. You're ready.
What could be greater than a king?
A hero.
You don't think of someone admitting their fear to be a kingly characteristic, but when it comes to Arthur, it is. And this speech from his mom, rushed or not, is a superhero moment for sure.
Fight for everyone.
And between her pep talk and Mara's on the ship earlier, our writers found a way to make a new superhero origin story. It all ties together and makes his reason for existing matter.
You are the bridge between land and sea.
Ha! Trench scarecrows. Scare trenches.
With your tainted mongrel blood.
When Mary Poppins tells you you're not worthy, it kinda sticks. Also, what is it with you British people and your obsession with dirty blood? Or is that just Harry Potter? England and Harry Potter are the same, right? J.K. Rowling keeps revealing inherent truths to you about yourselves.
Came to save my home.
Jason Momoa continues to impress me with his vulnerability. And there's Arthur exemplifying surface meets the sea with that outfit while holding the trident. At first I thought that was just a generic octopus, but I'm pretty sure that's the Carathin. Yup. Outfit and all. Now that's a superhero moment.
Rise, Atlanta!
Look, people get wins for being the best at all kinds of things. Orm gets best underwater voice projector. Come on. So the joke is that WB was basically like, this is our last shot, so let's just throw all the money at it. And by golly, it worked. There's not likely a single real thing in this push-in shot, but once the battle actually gets going, it's not complete chaos. There's a single long take in the beginning that shows you the entire battle and who's winning / what the might of each side looks like. You never feel overwhelmed. The colors contrast well with each other, so you know who's who, and left to right orientation for the most part allows you to keep a solid grasp on geography. Point of all this is that James Wan took a set piece that could have been blindingly confusing and made it entertaining.
Call me Ocean Master.
Supervillain moment. There's always a bigger fish to smash your giant chip like toys. Ha, got him on the backside. Oh, she can swim. There's some teamwork from the squids and narwhals. Love, with a side of spectacle. Yep. Alright, fine, Orm. You're a badass bad guy.
He commands the sea.
Then that half-breed is your king.
You know, it's just nice to see Dolph come around. You never know with these 80s villains. Luke Skywalker level ingenuity. Superhero landing. Deadpool would be proud. Man, consecutive final boss fights in the rain. It's always a win. And both movies have Willem Dafoe. Next week is just going to be Willem Dafoe doing Tai Chi in the rain for 2 hours. I'd watch it.
Look it!
You're never going to convince me that leadership decisions being made by combat are the way to go, but when it's Arthur and he essentially tricked Orm into fighting on land, I'll give it to him. I'm tired of being emotionally manipulated by this high-pitched winding up sound. I'm just kidding, I love it. That's a whole lot of yup, especially the shot of Orm falling on his hands upside down. And mercy.
Maybe you haven't noticed, brother, but I'm not one of you.
Oh yeah, now we have a Kraken. There's some hugging to melt even the hardest hearts.
I am Aquaman.
Anything else here wouldn't have worked. And a little 3D model reenactment of the movie credits. Looks like Black Manta left Rose behind this time. And you might have his face scars after all. Ready for a little tin hat conspiracy theory? James Gunn, primarily a director of horror, knocked it out of the park with both Guardians movies, and the lesson that WB and DC learned from that was hire horror directors and writers for your superhero movies. It just can't be a coincidence with Shazam now, but that's neither here nor there. James Wan brought some of that horror into this film and it serves it well. I'm continuously impressed by James Wan anyway though. These long take action shots were his conception. He planned it out and made it some of the best action we've seen in a while. One main thing I really love about Aquaman is that we just don't care how cheesy it gets. These suits are ridiculous, but it's part of the lore. Species evolving over a few thousand years. Also absurd. The fact that Mara's hair needs to look radioactive.
Redheads! You gotta love them!
But it all works, it's an oversaturated playground. I think we can all agree the main thing DC was missing was a more overall lighthearted tone.
That guy's behind us.
Did you see that?
That guy behind us!
There were moments in each DCEU film, but it felt less forced in this one.
I already got one of those.
And then it's all wrapped up nice and neat at the end, even with a little cringy happily ever after bow. Not this. I stand by this as pulpy, campy perfection. A considerable bonus this movie has over pretty much every other DC movie so far is the adventure portion of the film. Tomb Raider puzzle and riddle solving, it's never a slog, and the whole time we're building a relationship between Arthur and Mara. And the theme of Arthur being the man to bring the sea and the surface together would have been a great setup for Justice League. But hey, they keep making decent Aquaman movies, you never know. My only real complaint about this movie is the pacing, and only the third act. Now knowing that it's going to happen, it doesn't bother me as much, but I felt it in theaters. And what's frustrating is that this moment is impactful, or should be at least. There is roughly 5 minutes from Arthur arriving in Dino Land and reconnecting with Mommy to one of his most triumphant moments when he goes to get the trident. I get it, it's a long movie. They can't move forward until he gets it. It's just hard that his conversation with Mary Kraken is given more time to breathe because it's in the middle of an action set piece. No one wants to sit and hear more exposition from his mom. The solution would be another short fight scene with dinosaurs or something, but then it would be bloated. So I understand why they settled on what they did. I'll just say that I was able to connect with this moment much more on my second watch through, knowing we were going to race through it. Cast is solid, Jason Momoa carries a lot of the movie with his charm, but I also really enjoyed Patrick Wilson as the baddie. Black Manta was slightly underdeveloped, but he's the big bad, so giving him a little setup in this film and then bringing him back bigger and badder next time is a good play. Aquaman is a fun movie that has so much rewatchability to it just for the action alone. Only thing missing was more beautiful beards. But Drago had a pretty great beard, and we know Arthur has a beautiful beard. And now you too can represent the beautiful beard when army. But like you don't have to have a long beard to wear the shirt, but you can. But that's right, I'm launching my merch store today. Got a mug with my logo and a few shirts. One with the CinemaWins logo, one with my slogan, which I think y'all know me well enough now at this point to know that that slogan's not really just about movies. It's more of a motto for my life. Not everything, but probably more than you think. And then I picked one of the reoccurring wins that you guys seem to like a lot, and also because I once had a long beard. As of right now, everything is a pre-sale because I have no idea how many of you are going to be interested. So if you were to order today, it would be about 2 to 4 weeks for delivery. So yeah, go check out the store. Link is in the description, also on screen. Oh, and also if you support me on Patreon at the best tier, which is just what it's called, it's not necessarily the best. But if you do, I want to give you a shirt as a thank you for supporting me. Pick one out and send me a message through Patreon and I'll send one over to you. I was going to do a whole standalone video, but I think that's pretty much it. I have some different ideas of things I want to do, especially for shirts. A lot of you know by now that I used to own a silkscreen print shop, so I'm into apparel. I want to make something that you guys are going to want to wear, you know, more than just once, and then it's going to fall apart. All the shirts are going to be printed on Next Level Apparel, which is super comfortable, super soft, ring spun cotton shirts, and like a flattering cut too. So throw your ideas out there for things you'd want to see. We're going to start with this and see how it goes. Thanks for sticking to the end, and here is a teaser frame for next week. It's a movie with colors in it. Huh? Yeah.
Thank you, Silver Lady. Who are you? I was the god's wife of this temple.
Maigi.